A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In today's lecture, we will be talking about the shelter planning during disasters or after disasters. As
जी सर।
presentation नजर आ रही है सबको?
जी सर, नजर आ रही है।
Okay. So today we will be talking about the shelter, that how we can define the shelters. Then what is the concept of shelters and disaster response? Main design and evaluation criteria for shelters, disasters to which these shelters are vulnerable, and the shelter strategy for each phase of disaster management plan. So let's talk about shelter. That what is shelter? So I hope everybody knows that a shelter is a basic architectural structure which serves two primary functions. Number one, provide temporary residences where survivors of the disasters can avoid secondary damages like the aftershocks of the earthquakes, such as fires, floods, and diseases. And number two, allow the first responders, those who are providing the emergency response to these guys or to these people, to efficiently perform rescue operations. So shelter can be defined as the basic architectural structures which provide temporary residences where survivors can avoid secondary damages such as fires, floods, and other diseases, and allow the first responders to efficiently perform the rescue operation. Now, let's talk about the emergency relief shelters. So they are used to provide private and secure places. Privacy is very, very important, and security is very, very important for people to live who have left or lost their usual accommodation, who has evacuated or who has lost, whose buildings have been collapsed or damaged as a result of some form of disasters. Its main purpose is to keep the people safe from further damages or from further disasters. So here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 circles starting from the same point. So, Uzair Khan,
जी सर।
can you comment on this one? This is the smart circle. This is the self recovery.
जी सर। सर,
Yes.
सेल्फ रिकवरी में मतलब अगर कोई इमरजेंसी या डिजास्टर सिचुएशंस आती हैं तो मतलब घर के लेवल पे हम उस डिजास्टर से कैसे बच सकते हैं। मतलब सर, इसमें लाइट भी आ जाती है, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर भी आ जाती है सर, फूड भी आ जाता है सर, इस तरह की और बेसिक फैसिलिटीज सेल्फ रिकवरी इस चीज में आती है सर।
This is actually when there is a disaster, then how you can recover yourself by your own self or by the people of your own house. Okay, so if you can do this, this is called self recovery. Then
जी सर।
if you have if your house has been damaged or have got cracked, then you need emergency shelters so that you can shift to those shelters and you can save or you can recover yourself. Then early recovery shelters. Now this we are talking about after the disasters. The disasters have taken place. Now we are talking about the recovery, how we can get recovered ourselves, or the people of that area, or the community, or the organizations. So you need emergency shelters so that you can evacuate to those shelters. Then early recovery shelters. Now the recovery has already been started. First, you have recovered yourself by your own self. Then either the government has provided you the emergency shelters, or some organizations or NGOs have provided you the emergency shelters. And after that, work has been started on the early recovery from this disaster. So early recovery shelters, this is in between the permanent housing and this temporary shelters. So this is now we are going towards the stability or towards recovery or towards preparedness. So recovery shelter or housing. So we will discuss all these things in our today lectures, that how we can there is a disasters, how we can provide shelters to the people, then how we can convert those shelters to uh, permanent housings, or how we uh, can shift the people from these shelters to their permanent houses after the disaster. So, shelter concept on a disaster response, shelter and settlements, emergency, early recovery, and recovery. If you have disasters, after the disasters, you will have emergency. And that emergency, you have to provide the temporary shelters, or you have to ship the people in emergency to the evacuation center. You have to provide medicine to those people who have got injured. Then for the early recovery, you have to provide uh, separate spaces, or you have to provide shelters to these people so that they can live with your own family. And in the recovery state, you have to provide, or you have to help these people so that they can rebuild their houses, or so that they can build new houses. So community participation, this is the most important, because without community participation, you can't do, or you can't handle the disasters properly. Then organizational development, this is also the most important, so that all the organizations which are involved in providing these shelters, or are helping in the emergency response, so they are the most important. Then cross-cutting issues. Tayyib Musaddiq, can you comment on these cross-cutting issues? What are the cross-cutting issues?
Sir, I have no idea about this, sir. Sorry.
Okay, anyone in the class who can tell us about the cross-cutting issues? Okay, so cross-cutting issues are normally discussed in most of the departments or most of the organizations. So these are the topics that affect all aspects of a program, that is cut across, and therefore need special attention. They should be integrated into all stages of the program and projects from planning through to impact assessment. But this has not always been the case. All these drawbacks and these flaws are present always when you are handling these disasters, because you will see uh, improper coordination. There will be no coordination between different organizations, or even uh, inside the organization or inside the department. Sometimes there will be no proper coordination. So due to uh, this less coordination or no coordination, you will have to face, or to face the different types of issues. The people will be complaining about your department or about your organizations, that these guys are not providing these things, or these things on time. Then camp management, this is also the most important. If you have made a camp for the people and you have evacuated the people to the camp, this can be either in man-made disasters, or this can be either in natural disasters. So if you have people like the internally displaced people and you have accommodated them in the camps, then the management of this camp, this should be very good, so that to accommodate these people, to help these people, and to recover these people from the disasters. Then coordination with others, this is also very important. As we told, that coordination inside the organizations or development, organizational development, these are very important. But the coordination with other departments and with other organizations, because maybe you have seen in this 2010 flood or in 2005 earthquake, everybody is supplying this or clothes. We have discussed this in our class. Or they are providing the bottles, the water bottles, to these hilly areas. And there was no need of this bottle of waters and these old clothes. So when you have these clothes or these bottles, then you have to make a go down or a place for storing these things. So coordination is the most important thing, so that the people who are helping you or who are providing this emergency response, they may know that which type of help is required. Either the people need food, either they need clothes, either they need money, or they need some other support. So the housing and urban issues, we have land and housing property rights. So this is maybe more relevant with the revenue department. So if there are earthquakes or if there are some disasters like there are floods, so then the issue of these things are arising, that land and housing property rights, that the borders of the lands, they are disturbed, and it makes the point of conflict between the people. Then coming towards infrastructures, so most of the infrastructures, they are affected. So when you are going towards the construction of all these infrastructures or buildings or roads, so we need safe construction, we need appropriate technology, so that we can make this safe construction, and as early as possible, so that we can shift the people from these evacuation centers or from shelters to permanent housings and construction management. So all these things, this safe construction, appropriate technology, and construction management, all these are interrelated with each other. If you are not doing proper management or during these construction projects or these construction of buildings for the people, or retrofitting of these buildings for the people, or repairing or the buildings for the people which we have shipped to the camps or to the evacuation centers or to the shelters. So all these are interrelated with each other. So you have to think about this before planning or before starting the work on infrastructures or buildings, whatever projects you have after the disaster. Now let's talk about the main design and evaluation criteria. So number one is technology, construction, and material. So the material or system selection, which type of material or which type of system you will be using when you are making shelters or when you are making houses for these people who have been affected by the disaster. Then you should know the structure performance, as we discussed over here, that appropriate technology or and safe construction. So what will be the performance of this structure if they are hit by the disaster again? Then once you have selected the material, you have selected the system, you know about the performance of this system, then what about the production? Can you make available the production of all these materials or all these systems or all these structures, so that you can make the shelters or the buildings for these people on time, or and completed on within the stipulated period of time or project? Then if you are supplying this material to the site where you are making these shelters, then do you have storage capacity, so that enough capacity so that you can store all these materials for some time? Then you have to think about the transportation. If you are transporting these materials, just like say if you are transporting this from Peshawar to Chatral, then how much time it will take, how much cost will occur on these things. So you have to think about this. Then construction on site. Now you have transported these materials, you have stored these materials, you have each and everything. Then how you will have to assemble or construct these shelters or these buildings on site? Then assembling or deconstruction, how you, because normally we are trying to supply such materials, they prefabricated material, so that only that can be assembled on site and they can be converted into shelters. Then if you are deconstruction, you are going to reassemble this, or you are going to 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 remove all the particles again, and then you want to shift it to the other place. Then withstanding moments, how they are resisting the moments which are taking which are occurring or which have to take place if further disasters are going, or floods are going to hit these structures, or aftershocks are going to hit these structures. Then the service system integration. This is the very important, that the service which this structure is providing, so either this is properly they are providing the services, or the requirements, either they are completing the requirements of the people who will be living in these structures. Then the most important is durability. How long it will work, for 3 years, 5 years, 1 years, or this is most important, because sometimes these disasters are taking place in very severe weather conditions, sometimes in very hot summer, or sometimes in uh, very cold winter. So and the ease of cleaning. This is also very, very important so that you can avoid the environmental pollution. When you are making all these structures, then the cleaning process is easy. So this we will discuss in detail. There are some case studies in ecology. Uh, okay, anyone in the class who can comment on the ecology or ecological impact in use, the building ground interaction and environmental. Ji
Uh,
beta.
may I add something, sir?
Okay.
Uh, Ecosystem is basically a, com- a way in which the interaction between two different things are measured, are assessed, such as living things and non-living things. When we are going to build interaction or some relation between the increase and decrease and their impact on living things, along with those things which are associated with these living things in their vicinity. सो दैट मीन इकोलॉजी तो इकोलॉजी में हमारे साथ आ सकता है जो एम्बियंट एनवायरनमेंट होता है एयर का इसी तरह इंडोर हमारे साथ एयर की क्वालिटी हो गई वाटर की हो गई नॉइज की हो गई तो दीज आर द थिंग जो जहाँ पर इंटरेक्शन होती है लिविंग थिंग्स की और नॉन लिविंग थिंग्स की जहाँ पर डिफरेंट चीज़ें जन्म लेती है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वायरस इन द फॉर्म ऑफ बैक्टीरियाज प्रोटोजोआज ये सारी चीज़ें जो इम्पेक्ट करती है ह्यूमन हेल्थ को एंड डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स जिस तरह अगर हम वाटर का एक मीडियम ले लें इसी तरह एयर का एक मीडियम ले लें या सेंस ऑफ टच तो इसी तरह से
Okay, good job, Bash. Yeah, even this raw materials extraction and processing, this have always impacts on environment because you are extracting these materials, so they will pollute your environment, and sometimes they will also pollute the water or contaminate the water. So when you are making more sensible land use decisions and better targets while you are planning or you are making shelters or you are making evacuation centers for the people who has been affected by the disaster, so you have to think about all these things. Then the building ground interaction. So in structure part we are talking about the how the building and the ground which you where you are constructing your buildings, so which type of interaction will be there or which type of moments will be there, which type of disturbance or stresses will be there. So all these things are you have to keep in mind while you are designing or you are making or you are planning. So in which type of capacity you are involved, either in the planning side, either in the design side, or either in the environmental side, or either on the social side. So all these things you have to keep in mind. The next is the cost of the shelters or the cost of the evacuation center. So this is the most important. You will have to look into the cost. So most of the time you have to look to the low cost material or low cost shelters. So this is also very, very important. And for developing countries like us, this cost is the most important thing because it's affect each and everything. It's affect your land use planning, it's affect your shelter planning, it's affect your uh, the size of the shelters and almost each and everything. Next is the building physics. So how is the indoor climatic comfort so that the people can live in it, and so that you are not providing the permanent shelters or permanent housing for them, so that they can spend like 1 or 2 or 3 years comfortably. Then the indoor air quality, how is the indoor air quality, you have properly managed it. Then the healthy environment, yes, there is the healthy environment. If you have made such buildings or such shelters, then the thermal performance, as I told you, these disasters are sometimes taking place in very hot summers or in very cold winter. So the thermal performance of these shelters should be strong enough so that they can protect the people from this severe weather condition. The water tightness and moisture performance, yes, it should not absorb water or it should be waterproof so that during rain or some during rain it can provide safety to the people who are living inside this shelter. The air tightness of the external envelope. So normally we are providing this tent or tarpaul or tarpaulin or some other material, so that we are covering the shelters with the help of that material. So it should be tight enough so that it can resist the wind. Tightness of giants. The giants of these shelters, we will discuss in the next slides, that the giants of these shelters should be strong enough so that it can resist the load, the load which is coming on it due to wind, or due to snow, or due to rain, or if the people who are living in this shelter, if they are going to keep or place some household things, or some material on the top of it, or when they are trying to suspend something from these giants, or from these bracers, or from the component of this shelter, or from the component of the shelter structure. So the next is the spatial organization. So it includes that user spatial requirements. Tayyib, can you talk on this?
सर स्पेशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को हम लोग इस तरह से वो करते हैं कि हम लोग जिस तरह लैंड यूज बनाते हैं सर, तो उसको हम लोग स्पेशली चेक करते हैं। उसकी एक एग्जांपल में आसान अल्फाज में दे सकता हूँ कि सर हमें एक ऑफिस बनाना है, तो ऑफिस के हमारे पास एक चार दीवारी के अंदर इन्वायरमेंट है, तो उसके अंदर हम लोग स्पेशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इस तरह से करते हैं कि हम लोग ऑफिस में एक मल्टीमीडिया स्क्रीन लगानी है, तो वो किस साइड पे हो कि मतलब ऐसी फिजिबल साइड पे हो कि वो जो है तो सब जो ऑफिस के जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स होंगे उस वक्त वो उसको देख सकें। इस तरह से टेबल की अरेंजमेंट किस तरह होनी चाहिए, ये स्पेशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जिस तरह हम लोग स्पेशल लैंड यूज प्लान्स में करते हैं। तो
Exactly. The
ये
main purpose of spatial organization and to plan an interior is to plan an interior space in order to provide all the required facilities to the inhabitant.
एग्जैक्टली सर, एग्जैक्टली
Okay, so then the next is the privacy requirements. As I told you, if you are providing
सेम।
shelter to the people, so you have to provide the privacy requirements to the people. Then there should be flexibility in these shelters. User behavior and room interaction, all these should be included. Disabled and elderly user requirements, you have to cover the entry to these shelters by if there are disabled people, because they have already been hit by the disaster, and there may be many people who have been got disabled. Or if you have elder people, so you have to think about the access and the flexibility, and the, as it is written, the user behavior or the interaction or the room interaction. So you have to think about all these things if you are designing, if you are making, if you are planning the shelters. The next is about the sociology. So Noman, can you comment on this sociology? What type of sociology we need when we are planning these shelters, or when we are making these shelters?
That can actually be the interaction with community when we are designing or building these shelters. Sometimes the community can cause problems for certain projects. So that's why you need certain people to convince the society about the benefits of these projects.
Okay, Azaz,
जी सर।
can you add some more comments?
सर सोशोलॉजी जैसे सोसाइटी में किस तरह कम्युनिकेशन होती है ना, तो डिजास्टर के बाद जैसे यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ भी है डिजास्टर इफेक्ट्स होते हैं, तो एज अ कम्युनिटी आपने ऐसा डिजाइन करना है ताकि एज अ सोसाइटी वो लोग रह सकें और
Yeah,
बाकी
so that the
सिक्योरिटी भी होनी।
society can easily accept it, and they can accept it, so that they can live over there. They have some visual communication with each other. They have security. Security is the most important thing. They have privacy, they have security, so that the stuff or the important documents which they have, they are secure. The psychological and sociological post-disaster effects. As we discussed in our previous lectures, that after the disaster, most of the people they are getting stresses, and they are going towards depression and tension. So you have to think about all these things, so that to avoid in your design and in your planning, if you are designing your shelters, so that You can have this security for them so that they may not go to this tension and depression after this disaster. You may provide the shelters to them, but it may not have this
सर
social aspects or G.
सर ये विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन जो है तो ये पोस्टर्स एंड बैनर्स के थ्रू जो कम्युनिकेशन करते हैं या साइन बोर्ड्स वगैरह, ये इसकी बात हो रही है सर, विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन जो है?
Uh, this including those visual communication, and this is also the interaction between the people who are living over there. You can make some like community centers for them, or you can make some playgrounds, or you can make some spaces so that the people can talk to each other, they have interaction with each other, and they can trust, they develop some trust on each other. Just like the mosque you can use for the men, or for the मर्द के लिए आप लोग you can use the masjid, or you can make some community centers for the women so that they can come closer to each other, they can talk to each other, and then uh, the trust. And maybe you have heard about the trust deficit in our last lecture or before the last lecture. So you have to train the people with the help of banners, with the help of arranging some classes or some seminars or some workshops, so that they can interact with each other, they can talk with each other, so that their depression, their tension, and each and everything is minimized. Okay, the last one is when you are designing all these things, so is the aesthetics. What is aesthetics?
सर किसी भी चीज की रुनुमाई होना एस्थेटिक्स में आता है सर।
सर
Yeah,
ब्यूटी
जी बताओ।
ब्यूटी हम एक चीज को फंक्शन तो हमने इस तरह स्पेशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हमने कह दिया, हमने फंक्शन प्रोवाइड कर लिया, फिर उसको हम एक ब्यूटी प्रोवाइड करते हैं सर। वो हम
Exactly.
मटेरियल भी प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं या उनके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के थ्रू स्पेसेस को इस तरह अरेंज कर लेते हैं कि वो एक एस्थेटिक लुक भी इसका नजर आए, मीन की ब्यूटीफुल नजर आए सर।
Exactly, so that the people who are living in those shelters, they like it. Because if you are not providing these aesthetics or this beauty to these shelters, so yeah, they will go for 1 week or 2 week, but then they will start struggling how they can leave these shelters, how they can shift to some other shelters, or to some other places. So you have to think about all these points which we have discussed in these slides. You have to think about the technology, the construction and materials. Then you have to think about the ecology. Then you have to think about the cost of all these shelters. Then you have to think about the building physics, which we have discussed. You have to think about the spatial organization, sociology, and aesthetics. So when you are designing shelters, if you are working in such organizations who are dealing with disasters, and they are making shelters or they are making evacuation centers, so you have to think about all these points. Is it clear?
यस सर।
यस सर।
Okay, anyone who wants to add something?
यस सर। सर इसमें ये सिर्फ डिजास्टर के लिए नहीं, मतलब हम आर्किटेक्ट्स जब डिज़ाइन करते हैं तो यूजुअली ये सारी चीज़ें कंसिडरेशन में हम लाते हैं। तो ये मतलब जनरल भी है और स्पेसिफिकली डिजास्टर के लिए भी, लेकिन जनरली भी हम ये सारी चीज़ें कंसिडर करते हैं डिज़ाइन में।
Okay, exactly. Yeah, if you are making like permanent housing or permanent buildings, so as we discussed, we are trying to shift the people from self recovery to emergency shelters, and then to early recovery shelter, and then finally housing. So when you are planning a township or some other housing schemes, so you have to think about all these points. Okay, let's talk about in context of Pakistan. So the disasters to which shelters are vulnerable. So what are those disasters to which these shelters are vulnerable? Uzair Khan?
जी सर।
Yeah. What are those
Sir,
disasters to which these shelters will be vulnerable? If we are making shelters for these people affected by the disasters, so what are those disasters to which these shelters will be vulnerable? I hope you know vulnerability.
जी सर, ओपन हो मतलब डिजास्टर के लिए।
Yeah, they have the chances or probability to get damage.
जी सर, तो सर कौन से लिहाज से मतलब शेल्टर जो करंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है हमारे कंट्री में।
Uh, Read on the top of the slide, disasters to which shelters are vulnerable.
सर डिजास्टर्स ये तो ऑलरेडी यहाँ पर मेंशन है कि अर्थक्वेक,
That's
फ्लड।
what I'm asking you. It is written, already written over here. So
जी
the
सर,
earthquakes, flood, storm, and mega
मेगा
fire.
फायर।
Yeah,
जी
this is
सर।
in context of Pakistan. Normally we have earthquakes, we have floods, we have fires, and we have.
जी सर, सर मैं एक कमेंट करना चाहता हूँ सर। वो लास्ट क्लास में मैं उस वक्त बिजी था, तो सर ये जहांगीराबाद का इलाका जो है सर, तो
जी बता।
वहाँ पर वो आबादी इतनी नीचे चली गई है और रोड्स ऊपर आ गए हैं कि सर हर एक जो अभी वहाँ पर जो प्रॉपर्टीज है वो कमर्शियल बेसिस पे यूज होती है, हॉस्टल्स, गेस्ट हाउस वगैरह के लिए सर। तो उन्होंने मतलब जब जहाँ से वो कमरों की आबादी स्टार्ट होती है, तो उन्होंने सर 3-4 फुट तक दीवार वगैरह तामीर की है सर।
अच्छा।
तो इतना फ्लड आ जाता है कि सर वो पानी सारा उनके रूम्स वगैरह में चला जाता है सर। तो हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है सर वो ये स्टॉर्म, अर्थक्वेक, फ्लड वगैरह, रेन, सिंपल जो रेनफॉल हो सर,
जी।
उसके लिए भी बहुत ज्यादा वल्नरेबल है सर एट मेनी एरिया सर।
Yeah, this is not only the case in Jangirabad. This is the case in many places. Maybe even Noman is here. We can talk about the Swat, this Mingora, and wherever you have these urban areas like the main city and even in Di Khan, in Fuhat, and some other places, I have seen this thing by myself. Even in our own district B,
जी सर,
this roadside construction, most of the construction they are below the roads, and when rain is taking place, all the water goes to those buildings and those structures.
बिल्कुल
So
सर। और सर
this is
उसके
common.
अलावा ये बीआरटी जो अभी बना है सर, तो उसके बारे में सर ये जहांगीराबाद के लोगों जो रिहायशी थे सर वो एहतजाज कर रहे थे कि यहाँ पर जहांगीराबाद में एक अंडरपास था सर, वो हुकूमत ने बंद किया है। तो सर ये रोज आप फेसबुक पे पिक्चर देखेंगे कि वो जंगली के थ्रू क्रॉस करते हैं सर। तो मतलब वो ये जो हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स भी है ना सर, वो भी
जी।
फ्रेंडली नहीं है सर डिजास्टर के लिए। मतलब सबसे ज्यादा वल्नरेबल ये है मतलब सर अब अगर बीआरटी स्टॉप्स की वजह से इस रोड पे एक्सीडेंट हो जाए तो वो भी मेरे ख्याल में सर हम उसको एक माइनर डिजास्टर कह सकते हैं सर।
Yeah, you have to. The life is the most important thing.
बिल्कुल
So
सर।
सर शुड आई ऐड अ कमेंट?
yeah, go ahead.
सर जिस तरह आपने जिक्र किया है अर्थक्वेक, फ्लड, स्टॉर्म और मेगा फायर, तो पाकिस्तान में मेरे ख्याल में सर ये टेररिज्म की वजह से जितनी भी शेल्टर की जरूरत पड़ती है या वाटर स्कैर्सिटी की वजह से, तो मेरे ख्याल में सर ये दो भी बहुत बड़े इश्यूज है पाकिस्तान में।
Yes, you are right. As we discussed in this internally displaced people, when we were discussing in the previous slides, so for them you need these shelters. And maybe you have heard when they are using these gas cylinders for cooking purposes. So fire have been taken place in many shelters, and people have been died from these things. So whenever being a civil engineer or being a planner or being a designer, as I told you, or being an architect, this is our responsibility, or this is the responsibility of the government. This is the responsibility of the concerned departments, so that they can facilitate the people. They are not supposed to create troubles or problems for the people. They have to facilitate the people. This is the government responsibility, because the people are giving taxes to them. All these things which you, with these roads and these buildings and all these street lights, they have utilized the taxes money of the people, and they are going to make these things. Sometimes they borrow money, but most of the time they for running their government, they are taking taxes from the people, so they have to think about the people. So you are right. Good. Okay, anyone else who want to add something, or we can go to the next slide?
और सर मेगा फायर के लिए तो भी बहुत ज्यादा वल्नरेबल है सर, क्योंकि ये बिजली की जो तारे वगैरह है सर, अगर कोई फायर का इंसिडेंट हो जाए तो बहुत आसानी से एक घर से वो 2 3 4 5 और बढ़ सकता है सर।
Exactly, you are talking about the houses, but in case of shelters, if there is fire in one shelter, it will cover the all the area in which you have made the shelters, because they have only like tarpaulin or some plastic sheets or these things. They have no walls, and they have no fire resistant structures. So let's talk about the recommendations for shelter planning and design depending upon the type of disaster. So number one, earthquakes. So what will be the effects of the earthquake on these shelters if there is aftershocks? So due to these aftershocks, it should resist the aftershocks after the earthquake. Displacement of ground, if there is any displacement or collapse, these things can happen. Displacement of ground can take place, or collapse of the structures can take place after the earthquake or in the aftershocks. So what we can do, location and layout, we have to avoid the fault lines where we are making these shelters or these houses or this temporary housing. So we have to avoid the fault lines. We should not construct on the fault lines. On riverbed sides, we should not construct on the riverbed sides and coastal areas. Keep enough distance between shelters and between clusters. We have to keep proper distance between the shelters and the clusters. Use lightweight material. How we can design the shelters? Try to use lightweight materials. Design the rigid structural connections. Try to design rigid structural connections so that that can resist the earthquakes or the aftershocks or the displacement of the ground, or use eccentric bracings. So those who are civil engineers, they know the bracing. So if we have this section, so we are providing this cross bracing from both sides. So with the help of this, we are making these joints, the structure rigid. The next major disaster, that is flood. So what will be the effects? It will cause lateral loads, inundation or flooding, and moisture in the area or in these structures. So what you have to take care of these things? Avoid flood plains and high water table areas. You are not supposed to make your shelters in such areas where they have high water table, or there are the chances of flooding of that area. Plan simple drainage systems. You have to make, or you have to plan a simple drainage system of this area. How you can design the shelters for this flood? Use waterproof materials. Raise shelter on high ground areas. Raise the shelters on high ground area. You will see in this in the case study how we can do this. Design floating shelters. You can also design such shelters which can float if there is flood. Mega fire.
सर ये फ्लोटिंग शेल्टर्स मतलब कि लेट्स सपोज फ्लड आ जाता है तो वो शेल्टर उसकी ऊपर फ्लोट करता जाए.
It is something, it will float in the vertical direction. It will be having some mechanism. So when this this flood water is accumulating below this structure or this shelter, so it will go in the vertical direction. It will its foundation, there will be some system, just like this Archimedes law or buoyancy forces. So it will go up from the water, or with the forces of water, it will go up, and it will be not flooded. So the people inside the shelters, they will be on safe side. Like you have this one, this is your flood level. Okay, now this is again flooding, and the flood level reaches over here. So this this shelter or this house, it will be having such mechanism that its columns or its pillars, they will rise, they will raise the structure, and before the flooding at its roof level or its floor level was here, but now it will rise to this level. If the flooding is reaching over here, so before the flooding level was here and we designed the floor level up to here, so now it will raise up to this point and the water will not be able to reach here. Let me show you. You can see this one, and this you can provide some mechanism or some hydraulic system that when the water is coming you can raise this. And the next one, see over here, this portion you can use, and this one is just to avoid the flooding. This one is more clear. Here you can see. Some of our students, they designed one building, but that was just a model, and they provided such mechanism in that structure and such material in their structure. When they were keeping that model building in water, and when they were increasing the level of water, then due to this forces of water, this structure was going to go up, and they were trying to protect the people who were living inside this model house. So yes, this floating is not like the one that it will float like in water, it will move like this. No, it will try to go in the up direction, in the vertical direction, and it will be protecting the people. This will be not like a boat. Tayyab? Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So the next is the fire, smoke, and smoke. These can be the effects of mega fire. So how we can avoid downwind? We should avoid downwind area. We should avoid the area in which the wind will go in that direction, and will try to take all the smoke or the fire towards the shelters. Plan fire breaks between fire and shelters. Provide some barriers between the fire and shelters. Then how you can design such shelters which can protect or which can resist the mega fire. To use fire resistant materials, you should use such materials which are fire resistant. Plan escape ways if there is fire, so you have to provide the evacuation ways or the paths, or provide such places or such sketches to the people so that they can evacuate and they can escape if there is fire. Carefully design electric facilities, low voltage or battery, and kitchen without gas, no gas. These cylinders, these should not be allowed or permissible inside these shelters. Wind loads, it can cause wind loads on these shelters, it can cause rainfall, and it can cause lightning. So to avoid areas close to strong winds, shelters should not be made in such places where there are chances of strong winds, near the tall constructions or trees, so that to avoid the secondary disaster. Building orientation and layout should be carefully planned to help mitigate the effects of winds. How you can design such shelters for this storm? Use strong materials and structural system. Use strong materials and structural system so that it can resist this. Design foundation or anchor to ground. Design the foundation for your shelters or anchor it into the ground so that it can resist the wind load. optimize building form to resist the wind. Yeah, this is the most important. Now coming towards the calculation process for determining the time varying shelter demand. So you have residential population. You have to check how many houses have been damaged in that area or in that district or in that tahsil. How many houses are intact? How many of these damaged houses have been completely destroyed or completely collapsed? How many of them are partially destroyed or partially collapsed? Then these houses are intact, but they have insufficient essential. There are chances that if there is aftershock or there are further disasters, maybe it will not provide the services or the required services. So again, it will need some minor repair or uh, some maintenance. So on the basis of all these, how many houses has been collapsed, how many houses has been partially destroyed, how many people were living in these partially destroyed people, so that you have to evacuate them to the safer places. How many people were living in these completely destroyed houses, and how many people you can shift or you can ask them to go back to your own houses, because your houses are intact or they are in they are properly functioning. So the evacuation demands is based on these things. If you can calculate the number of people, you can calculate the evacuation demand. Once you can calculate the evacuation demand, you can do the evacuate outside the affected areas or evacuate to shelters. You can decide on the basis of this demand that whether you can evacuate the people to the shelters or you have to provide some shelters or some places or accommodate them in some high school or middle school or college buildings or some other government buildings outside the affected area. So it depends upon these numbers. Quantifiable damage cost and risk mitigation cost. So how we can calculate the damage cost and how we can do the risk mitigation cost. So we have some direct and some indirect effect. We have tangible cost and we have intangible or non-market based cost. What are tangible cost, Uzair Khan?
जी सर.
What are tangible costs?
Sir, tangible cost, sir, I have no idea, sir.
Okay.
सर ये टेंजिबल कॉस्ट जो फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट होती है
I'm
सर.
asking from you because you are working in such a department that you know these things.
Okay.
Let me ask Azaz Khan.
सर टेंजिबल कॉस्ट होता है जिसकी कोई मार्केट वैल्यू एस्टिमेट हो सके ना, जैसे वेजेस हो गए,
You can
सैलरी.
calculate in terms of money, in terms of ₹1 or $1. And what about the intangible cost?
सर ऐसी चीज जिसकी कोई कीमत ना लगा सके ना.
Exactly. मतलब that you cannot measure it in terms of dollars or in terms of rupees. Okay, so the direct, you can see the tangible cost. It is the physical damage to the assets, to the properties, like the buildings, the contents inside these buildings, and the infrastructure. So you can calculate the cost of this. The intangible cost, like loss of life. Some people have lost their life during this crisis or during this disaster, or health has been affected, or he has lost his one hand or one leg. Loss of environmental goods. Zohaib, loss of environmental goods.
जी सर, जी सर.
Can you comment on this loss of environmental goods?
जी सर, एनवायरमेंटल गुड्स में हमारे साथ नेशनल जो नेचुरल स्पीशीज होती है, हैबिटाट होता है, उसका भी हो सकता है. अलॉन्ग विद दैट जिस तरह हमारे साथ ये फिशरीज वगैरह है, अगर कोई कंटेमिनेशन का लेवल ज़्यादा हो जाए तो वो डैमेज हो सकते हैं. अलॉन्ग विद दैट सर, वाटर की जो क्वालिटी है वो इम्पेक्ट कर सकती है, एयर की क्वालिटी इम्पेक्ट कर सकती है सर. इसी तरह सर अगर किसी इंडस्ट्री में कोई मशीन वगैरह ख़राब हो जाए या कोई एक्सट्रीम केसेस में कोई गैस एक्सप्लोड कर जाए और उसमें प्रॉपर वेंटिलेशन वगैरह ना हो तो लोग भी मर सकते हैं। तो दीज आर ऑल मेरे ख्याल से environmental
Okay,
good.
your first comment was very close to the answer. Okay, so this loss of environmental goods, it can have and it can get happen, and you cannot measure that in terms of dollars or in terms of rupees. And the next is the business interruption. If you remember from the last class, I told you you have to provide business continuity plan to the people who has been affected by the disasters. So the business interruption, like the production interruption because of the destroyed machinery, the machinery has been destroyed and the production has been stopped. The next one is the ecosystem services has been interrupted. The ecosystem services has been interrupted. जी तय्यब।
सर ये इकोसिस्टम्स जो हमारे पास सर्विसेज जिस तरह क्लीन एयर सर होती है, इस तरह से हमारे पास क्लीन वाटर जो है, तो सर ये सारा इससे जो है, तो जो ऊपर मेंशन भी है इंटेंजिबल जो कॉस्ट होती है सर, ये जो है तो मेजर नहीं हो सकती सर,
Good.
इसमें इंटरप्शंस आ जाती हैं।
The next one is these were direct. Now coming towards the indirect, like induced production losses of suppliers and customers of companies directly affected by the hazards. Increased vulnerability of survivors. Increased vulnerability of survivors. G, anyone in the class? जी बेटा।
Sir, the exposure to any damage is increased to the survivors.
गुड।
ये मतलब सर वहाँ पे जो लोग होते हैं उनके जो किसी भी किस्म का उनका डिजास्टर के साथ एक्सपोजर उनका ज़्यादा हो जाता है। in cause
They have
in
already been exposed to the disaster, so another disaster is going and hit these people.
yes sir.
So they will be more vulnerable and they will be more affected as compared to the people of other areas. They have not been affected initially by these disasters, and they are hitting by the disaster for the first time. Okay, so risk mitigation costs. How we can calculate the cost of risk mitigation? One is direct, the other is indirect. Like setup of infrastructures, you can develop or you can make or you can set up the infrastructure again. Operation and maintenance costs, so you can calculate this. These are the tangible costs. And induced cost in other sectors. Other sectors which are involved in this disaster response management, just like PDMA, because PDMA is not going to construct your structures like your infrastructure, like bridges and roads and this electricity system, because WABDA will be involved, construction and works department will be involved, irrigation departments will be involved. So some of them will be directly involved, but some other sectors, for example, कौन से sectors हो सकते हैं जी? Just like agriculture sectors, you can take the agriculture sectors and some other sectors. Let's talk about the intangible. So environmental damage due to the development of mitigation infrastructures. If you are making these infrastructures, what will happen or how much it will affect the environment? The environment or it will have environmental impact on that area. If you are making these infrastructures up, if you are setting or you are reconstructing or you are retrofitting or you are rehabilitating these infrastructures due to the development of mitigation infrastructure, due to change in agriculture practices. Uzair Khan, इसका क्या मतलब है?
सर एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिसेस में
जी बता।
sir, in the sense of reducing risk or sir increasing risk, sir, किस sense में sir?
We are actually mitigating the risk. How we can calculate the risk mitigation cost?
जी सर एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिसेस में तो ये वाटर मैनेजमेंट ये सब आ जाती है सर। अगर सर वाटर फ्लो के लिए ज्यादा मतलब फिजिबल चैनल्स वगैरह हो और वो उसमें वाटर कैपेसिटी ज्यादा हो सर, फ्लो को कंट्रोल कर सकता हो, तो सर ये भी रिस्क को मिटिगेट कर सकते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ सर डिजास्टर और फ्लड।
Yeah, you are right up to some extent. All these relevant things with like these water courses or channels. Hmm? When you are
सर
जी बेटा
उसके अलावा सर राइट लैंड फॉर मतलब सर राइट कल्टीवेशन, मतलब सर अब अगर एक जमीन हो सर, मतलब एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट हो वहां पर वाटर की कमी हो और वहां पर सर हम उस क्रॉप्स की प्रैक्टिसेस ऐसी फसल की प्रैक्टिस जारी रखे जिसकी यील्ड कम हो सर, उसकी बजाय अगर सब मतलब अभी एग्रीकल्चर साइंस में बहुत तरक्की की है सर, तो अगर हम उस जमीन पे उसकी
okay, now
फिजिबिलिटी को देखकर ऐसी क्रॉप प्रैक्टिसेस करें कि मतलब सर उससे फायदा ज्यादा से ज्यादा हम उठा सके सर, तो ये भी मतलब ड्रॉट अभी सर ये जो कात वगैरह है सर तो उसको मिटिगेट कर सकता है।
good, well done. Now you are right. Okay, so shelter strategy for each phase of disaster management plan. We have A, B, and C. This is the disaster phase, and this is the shelter strategy. In each and every phase, you have to adopt different strategy, like the mitigation and preparedness. You are in such phase that you are trying to mitigate and get prepared. Like so, in this case, you have to know about the hazard. You have to identify the hazard at district level. Mitigation through infrastructural improvement and housing upgradation or housing rehabilitation. So if you are in this phase that you are trying to mitigate and you want to get prepared for the disaster. So for which disasters you have to get prepared yourself or your district or your community. So you should know about that disaster. Then you have to mitigate yourself or your community through infrastructural improvements. You have to improve all the infrastructure of your area, and you have to upgrade or you have to rehabilitate or you have to strengthen all the houses in which the people of that community are living. The next phase is the immediate response, first 12 to 24 hours. This is which phase, Tayyib? ये कौन सा phase है?
सर ये डिजास्टर फेज में सर ये मुझे क्लियर नहीं हो रहा सर, आप किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में पूछ रहे हैं सर, कौन सा फेज है?
बेटा, we are talking about the phase, the stage of the disaster.
सर ये डिजास्टर फेज है सर, उसमें इमीडिएट रिस्पांस मतलब पोस्ट डिजास्टर जो है तो हमें 12 टू 24 आवर्स के अंदर इमीडिएट
12 से 24
रिस्पांस।
घंटे के दौरान आपने क्या करना है?
यस सर इमीडिएट रिस्पांस है सर।
Yeah, good. So affected population or the people who have been affected, you have to give them shelters in pre-identified public buildings. Like I told you, you can ship them to the schools or colleges or some other public sector buildings. Community emergency shelters, you can ship them to the evacuation center or community emergency shelters. The next phase is the emergency phase, 24 hour plus. उज़ैर इसमें क्या करेंगे? 24 घंटे के बाद या 24 घंटे अप टू 24 आवर्स में क्या करेंगे?
सर अप टू 24 आवर सर वो जो फर्स्ट एड टाइप सिचुएशन बनती है सर विद इन सॉरी सर विद इन 24 आवर्स
नहीं, इसमें लिखे 24 आवर प्लस। 24 उधर कवर है दूसरे स्टेज में। 24 has been covered over here, which Tayyib has explained. Now we are talking about 24 hour plus. 24 घंटे के बाद आप दोबारा you are on site already. तो जी बेटा
जी सर
करेंगे
सर 24 आवर में तो पहले हम कोशिश करते हैं कि इंसानी जान को बचाएं सर। ठीक है सर। 24 आवर के बाद सर हमारी मतलब जो प्रायोरिटीज होगी वो उनको फूड, शेल्टर, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, सर इसके अलावा जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डैमेज हुआ है उस पे काम करना शुरू करें सर। तो मतलब सर आफ्टर 24 आवर्स फिर ये चीजें आ जाती है सर।
Good. So in this phase, this 12 to 24 hour, you have to provide the foods to the people by from the government side or from the community side, or those people who have survived. So they have to provide the food to these people, because they cannot make their own foods in these places. But after 24 hours, what you have to do, the affected population to whom you have given the shelters and pre-identified public buildings suitable for accommodating family units or family emergency shelters. Then it may be necessary to supplement this phase with shelter kits. You have to provide the shelter kits so that they can erect the shelters, and they can make the shelters for themselves. You have to provide the tents, and you have to provide the household kits so that they can make each and everything for themselves. The next one is the transition to performance, uh, to permanence. Sorry, the transition to permanence. This is another stage. This is the transition zone. In this phase, or in this stage, what we have to do, the affected householders supported in returning to their own houses and given technical support. This is the transition to permanence, that you are shifting them to their own houses, and this is going towards permanent solution. You are going towards to provide them a permanent solution. Then what you will have to do, the affected householders whose houses were either partially damaged or completely damaged, so then you have to think about the construction of their houses. You have to think about the repair or the maintenance of their houses. You have to think about the retrofitting of their houses. So how you can do that? You have to provide them technical support. You have to provide them some guidance. You have to provide them some people who can help them in constructing or in repairing their houses. Coming towards the repair and reconstruction stage, this is C, or this phase. So in this phase, the affected houses holders supported with technical support. In this phase, you have already provided the technical support. You have provided the training to them on design and access to low-cost finance for self-built repairs. Like you can have access to them to the banks or to the government sector banks, or some you can provide some help. So there's low-cost finance. What is this low-cost finance, Uzair Khan?
Sir, low cost finance.
Yeah, let me ask Naeemullah, because I'm asking only from Tayyib and Uzair and Zohaib is answering. So let's involve others.
डेफिनेटली
Naeemullah,
से उनको हम
सर जिस लो कास्ट फाइनेंस मीन सर, जिस तरह हम लो कास्ट हाउसिंग बनाते हैं तो सच अल्टरनेटिव मटेरियल हम उनको बता दें, उनको ट्रेनिंग दे दे कि ये अगर आप इन टर्म ऑफ यूजिंग दिस मटेरियल, अगर इंस्टेड ऑफ दिस हम ये यूज कर ले तो उस पे वो इकोनॉमिकली भी होगा और उनका काम भी चल जाएगा। तो हम लो कास्ट फाइनेंस के जरिए उनको हम
okay, you are not
रिहेबिलिटेट कर लेते हैं सर।
Naeemullah.
जी सर।
You are not a proper businessman. Okay, you can't do business. Azaz Ali Khan. जी बेटा।
सर लो कॉस्ट फाइनेंस है कि यानी इंटरेस्ट रेट कम हो दे, कम इंटरेस्ट रेट पे इनको कर्ज दे ताकि ये अपने हाउस
banks जो गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स है या जो प्राइवेट बैंक्स है, they give them low cost, they give them a loan on low interest rates. Okay, Azaz, you can become a good property dealer. This is on a lighter mode. Okay,
थैंक यू सर।
or self build repair so that they can make their houses again. Okay, in Japan and some other countries, they are helping too much. They are giving loan to their people, and even they are giving some lump sum amount to the people so that they can build their houses. In some other countries, or some like this, maybe Saudi Arabia or in some other countries, they are also providing some interest-free loan to such people. Maybe you have heard about this low-cost housing right now by this government. They are trying to make 50 like houses. So they are also trying to make them low-cost housing, and they are providing some. How much subsidy they are giving, Asadullah?
Sir, they are giving subsidy of about, no, sir, they are actually, they have fixed the interest rate to 5% and 7%.
Okay, so they are providing access to low cost finance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. The next one, let's talk about the evacuation center. So I hope we have discussed this evacuation center and shelter so many times that now everybody knows what is evacuation center. Yeah, I hope everybody understands evacuation center क्या होता है.
Yes, sir.
So let's ask Fasih. Fasih Iqbal, are you in the class?
Yes, sir.
How are you, beta?
ठीक ठाक सर.
दोबारा टेस्ट किया हुआ है?
संजय जी क्या सर?
डेली टेस्ट करोगे?
सर आवाज नहीं हो रहा.
हम दोबारा भी टेस्ट करेंगे?
हाँ यस सर खड़े में गए
वो ठीक है.
सर खैमा उस ठीक ठाक नेगेटिव
That's
रहा.
okay. Okay, so can you tell us about the evacuation center?
सर जहाँ पे
Evacuation center क्या होता है?
इवैक्यूएशन सेंटर सर जब जल्दल आ जाए या सैलाब आ जाए तो जो रिफ्यूजीज के जो शेल्टर सब हम बनाते हैं.
Okay. So the number of people within the district, as we discussed, how many people have been affected during this disaster, this flood or this fire or this earthquake or tsunami. So you have to calculate the number of people. You should know about the number of people within the district. Then you should know the early warning system and communication system with these people. पसी बेटा अपना माइक बंद कर दें. पसी. You should have proper early warning system and proper communication system with these people in the district. Then the shelter facilities and evacuation plans, that is structurally sound buildings that are free from localized hazards. Then you should know, or you should have the people should have and should know about the evacuation plans to the evacuation center or to the buildings where they can save their life. Now then, the existing available facilities. This is the most important thing, that how many existing facilities you have. If you have more available existing facilities, then you are not supposed to make more evacuation center or emergency evacuation center. You can utilize those available facilities. The number of vulnerable persons or families. You should know, or the departments or the concerned department who are collecting this data, that how many people are vulnerable or how many families are vulnerable. Accessibility to the site. This is the most important thing, that the evacuation center where you are making this evacuation center, or where you are declaring that this should be the evacuation center, so there should be accessible. The availability of services like electricity, water, communication. The place which you are declaring that it should be the evacuation center, they should have electricity, they should have water, they should have communication like telephone, mobile networks, etc. Land use planning and building codes. That area where you are making or you are declaring such centers as evacuation centers, they have been used or they have been made according to the building code and according to the land use planning of the government. Now let's talk about the characteristics of emergency prototype shelters. So now during the disaster has been taken place, and we are now handling the situation, and we are during the disaster stage. So what we have to provide, as we discussed earlier, we have to provide tents to the people, the temporary shelters, the kit of parts, so that they can make the shelters, they can prepare the foods and other stuff for themselves. prefabricated units. We have to provide prefabricated units, and we have to provide deployable system. So, who can comment on this voluntarily, other than Uzair, Tayyib, Naeemullah, Zohaib, and Asadullah? Noman beta, Noman and Saad.
This is deployable system.
You can comment on all these four, or you can talk about the prefabricated units, being a structural engineer or being an earthquake engineer. You may know about these things, and then how we can do this deployable system.
During the disaster, when we need immediate response and shelters to safeguard the society or its people, then we need tents in bigger numbers in a safe place to build up these tents. And there are these prefabricated units. So this might also be a type of shelters which can be settled easily.
Okay, and how you can deploy them on site?
Sorry, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Could I say something about this?
Todd?
Naman?
Yeah, can you please comment on this viable system?
सर हम इस तरह से डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं सर, टेंट वगैरह हो सर, अगर फ्लड वगैरह आ जाए सर ऐसी जगह पे सर, जो लोग पहाड़ों की तरफ जाए या ऐसी जगह पे जाए जहाँ से सर वो कम्युनिकेशन या एक्सेसिव करने थ्रू टेंट्स वगैरह हम थ्रू एयर उनको सर डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं सर, या अर्थक्वेक की वजह से सर जो जब लोग डिस्प्लेस कर जाते हैं सर to through air सर, और ऐसी जगह सर अगर अर्थक्वेक की वजह से सर ब्रिज कोलैप्स हो जाए सर, तो थ्रू वाटर के जरिए शिप्स के जरिए हम एक जगह से दूसरी जगह सर हम डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं सर. जी नोमान भाई, may I comment something?
Yes, please, why not?
Sir, I think so. Deployable system is a type of system which can be remolded in different shapes. इस तरह हमारे साथ ये इसके फोल्डिंग्स वगैरह होते हैं, तो जहाँ पर हमें ज़रूरत हो जाती है तो हम उस कभी उसको रेक्टेंगुलर और डिफरेंट वेट पर और डिफरेंट डेप्थ पर हम उसको एकोमोडेट कर सकते हैं. जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल मैं ये चीज़ बता रहा हूँ, फॉर्म वर्क की बात या इसके फोल्डिंग की बात. लेकिन डिप्लॉयबल सिस्टम्स आर दो टाइप ऑफ सिस्टम्स जिसको हम डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस के साथ रीमोल्ड कर सकते हैं, बिल्ड कर सकते हैं, फिर उसको डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करके किसी दूसरी जगह पर और फिर वहाँ पर रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करना. तो इस किस्म की चीज़ को कहते हैं.
नुमान या जुहेब प्लीज सर को इन्फॉर्म कर दें अगर उनका नंबर है तो वो उनकी क्लास में.
ओके, आई एम गोइंग टू
वो डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया है.
टेल हिम. उनको खुद भी पता चल गया होगा, लेकिन आप काइंडली शाहरुख से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट है तो इस किस्म की चीज़ ना करें कि.
Turn off your mics for a little while.
जी 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 बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ऑफ कोर्स इट्स गुड.
Azaz beta,
जी सर.
can you hear me?
Yes sir.
Okay, sorry, there was some internet problem. So we were talking about the prefabricated units and this deployable system. So,
Excuse me sir.
जी बेटा.
Sir presentation share कर दें.
Okay. Actually, I was trying to share the video on that slide.
Okay sir.
So when I click on the link, and when there was some disconnectivity of the internet, so let me try if it is working. So you will see it. Anuman,
जी सर.
last time when you were presenting, आपने वो bridge वाली video share की थी, तो you shared the whole screen.
Window, I think. I think I shared the window.
Okay, so can you see now the screen or no?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
इसमें वो आ रही the most innovative
Yes sir.
refugees.
It's clearly visible.
Okay, you people can see this. Okay, so here in these two packed boxes, they have a complete shelter, and you will see how they are making this shelter within, you can say, hours or minutes. I have also uploaded this link on in the Google Classroom. So let's wait. I hope it will work.
सर इस पेज को रिफ्रेश कर दें तो ये मेरा ख्याल है दोबारा स्टार्ट से शुरू हो जाएगी सर.
क्या कर लो इसको बेटा?
पेज को सर ये जो टॉप लेफ्ट कॉर्नर पे एक रिफ्रेश का साइन है सर, वो कर ले तो ये वीडियो दोबारा से स्टार्ट हो जाएगी सर.
Okay.
सर सर ये प्री फैब्रिकेटेड और डिप्लॉयबल सिस्टम में सर क्या फर्क है?
Excuse me, sir. Sorry. Is it working now? Azaz?
जी सर।
Can you see the screen right now?
यस सर, स्क्रीन शो हो रहा है।
ठीक है, अभी काम कर लेगा। आई हैव कनेक्टेड विथ 4G. Okay, so this is all about this video, and now let's go back to the presentation. So, Azaz,
जी सर।
beta, can you hear me?
यस सर।
Okay, beta. So, prefabricated units which has already been made, you have just to supply this on the site, and then it is such a deployable system. It can be just utilized, and it can be made on site within minutes or hours, as you have seen in the video. So let's talk about this system, how you can deploy this, how you can bring them into one unit. मतलब deployable system आप काम में कैसे ला सकते हैं, काम में लाना. So
Excuse me, sir.
जी बेटा.
सर जी डिप्लॉयबल सिस्टम में सिर्फ मटेरियल्स आ जाते हैं या नहीं सर्विसेज भी आती है सर?
कौन से सर्विसेज?
सर अभी मतलब डेंगू की जो सिचुएशंस थी कुछ सालों पहले, तो सर वो पंजाब से डॉक्टर जो है ना वो केपी में आए थे और सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड कर रहे थे सर। मतलब डेंगू भी एक बीमारी की शक्ल में डिजास्टर थी सर।
Now we are talking about the shelters, the materials of the shelters, how you can make the materials of the shelters, how make them deployable so that the people can easily make them on site.
Okay sir, okay sir.
Yeah, they don't need experts or skilled people or laborers. Each and every, even you by your own self, you can make this structure. You can convert them from the you can take it out from the box, from the pack box, and then you can make your shelter by your own self. So this is deployable system. So you can see over here the schematic diagram showing package units transported and deployed. You can see over here we have started the transportation of all these things. In B you can see deployment stages of a modular unit. So you can start constructing of these prefabricated units, and then you can also make multi-family units and clustered by expansion of the basic modular unit. You can extend these units. You can make, or you can connect these units with each other. You can make a community from these prefabricated or prefabricated materials or prefabricated shelters. You can make a complete evacuation centers which have like hundreds of shelters or like 200 of shelters or 500 of shelters in one camp or in one area. So this is the project. The name was Better Shelter, and these are the designers who are working in this architectural department or architectural side. They may know about these things. Who are making kitchen furniture, who are making this prefabricated kitchens, furnitures, houses, and all these materials. So the description, how to say this as IKEA?
Sir, no idea.
You have no idea. Anyone in the class?
IKEA, sir. IKEAs.
IKEA.
IKEA.
सर ये तो
It's a name, sir, and it can be pronounced anyway.
Okay, so how you will pronounce it?
Just like who pronounced it? IKEA, maybe.
IKEAs.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the IKEA's organization, or IKEA's founders, or IKEA designers. Different people have used this name in different way. So these are better shelters arrives in plate pack form, as you have seen these plate boxes, just in two large cardboard boxes. Here, these boxes. In these boxes, you have this complete shelter. You can live in this. It can be assembled without any specialist tools in around 4 hours by a group of 4 people with some basic trainings. The shelter comprises a metal frame. You can see the metal frame. This is the frame of pipes and connectors with stiffening wires. Connecting with stiffening, you can see these are the as I told you. If we are providing stiffeners in this, from here to here or from here to here, so we are calling this bracers or stiffeners. So these are stiffeners. Wires to support walls and a roof made of plastic panels. It sounds like papers are flimsy, but comes with an anchoring system. It has a strong anchoring system and is sure to be more solid than a tent, which withstands wind, rain, and ultraviolet rays. So this shelters, it will be more resistant to wind, rain, and ultrasonic or ultraviolet rays. And it will be more resistant than the tents. Better shelters lifespan at around 3 years. Its lifespan is around 3 years. A small solar panel on the roof powers, which you have seen in the video, an interior lamp that automatically switches on at night, a USB port for charging small devices like mobile and other small utensils or battery or chargers. A roof-based aluminum shade serves to reduce solar heat gain, and there's also 4 small windows. So a roof-based aluminum shade serves to reduce solar heat gain. So it can work like insulator. So on the top of that, we can provide this aluminum shade as well. The shelter measures around 17.5 square meter, that is 188 square feet, and comprises one space that looks suitable for accommodating even a fairly large family. You can see what this UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, shipping them to families living in refugee camp around the world. So maybe we have many refugee camps, like for the people from Afghanistan and now the people from Syria. They have refugee camps in this Turkey and some other countries. So this UNHCR, the United Nations, they are providing these shelters to the people who who are refugee due to this man-made disaster, that is due to this wars. This was another project. I have shared the research papers of these people. This is Noman. This is Mob Arc, or how to pronounce this one?
Mubarak maybe.
जी बेटा.
Mubarak.
Mubarak. Asadullah. Let's ask from Asadullah.
Like sir, mob like mobile and architecture, arc from architecture, mobile.
Yeah, this is like mobile architecture. How you can provide mobile shelters or the shelters. Okay, good. Asadullah, you are now smart. Design of a post-disaster temporary shelter unit. So the basic material for the unit shall be wood. These guys, this seems from this name seems from Turkey. Yes, this is Istanbul, Turkey. So they have developed this system, and for this system, they're saying that the basic material should be wood or timber, avoiding environmental so that to avoid environmental pollution of any kind, no harmful emission like carbon emission, etc., related to materials, using recyclable materials and making it more sustainable, or going towards sustainability, etc. The unit shall be constructed of prefabricated wood panels. So these are panels, these are prefabricated panels, ease of manufacturing and ease of construction. Again, you will get this from the suppliers or from the donors, and it will be in the prefabricated form. You just need to assemble them on site. Here you can see the units. Prefabricated wood panels shall have simple connecting details. Ease of assembly without needing specialized workmanship, so that everybody can assemble it on site. The number of all components shall be limited. Ease of horizontal and vertical transportation. Ease of assembly. So the number of all components shall be limited, should be less as much as possible, so that you can easily transport it to the site, and you can also shift it, or you can also move it in the horizontal direction as well as in the vertical direction easily, and you can assemble it easily on site. The prefabricated wood panels shall be a sandwich panel. What is meant by a sandwich panel? Naeemullah? जी बेटा.
सर सैंडविच पैनल एक पैनल हमारे पास होता है जस्ट लाइक इंसुलेशन के लिए हम उसको यूज कर सकते हैं. इंसुलेटेड पैनल होता है सर.
Exactly. So the sandwich panel with the mineral wool thermal insulating material, so that to keep the people warm in winter, interior climatic comfort, energy efficiency in use and production. Also, you can use some other materials in these sandwich panels. You can use these thermopore sheets. You can use treated mud, or you can use like this sawdust, or even you can use this the rice husk or this wheat husk. So you can use all these materials as insulating material in these sandwich panels or inside these panels. This is the drawing of these temporary shelters. If you are working in some organizations and you are designing these shelters, you can take help from these drawings. The unit shall consist of 2 subunits separated and connected with a semi-open space. Flexibility in space and form. The 2 subunits shall provide optimum space in fulfilling design criteria, such as space requirement related to basic actions, acoustical and visual privacy. As I told you already, it should be soundproof so that nobody can hear you, and also it should provide visual privacy and security to the people who are living inside these shelters. The enclosure of the separating and connecting semi-open space of the unit shall give the opportunity to be constructed by the users themselves, allowing individualism, personalization, social relations, etc. So the space between these two units, the people who are living in these units, they can utilize this space and they can make some sitting area for themselves, and they can use some social relationships with each other who are living, like the people living in one unit and the other units, they can have proper connections with each others. So here you can see the section, the plan, the sections, and you can see the elevation. And if there are flooding or if their water is coming, so you can see it has been constructed in such a way that it is almost, I can't see the dimension, but if you can read this dimension, so it has been elevated from the ground surface, and it has been given safety against the flood. Here are some other temporary shelters as well, which can be used for hospitals or for basic health units on sites, uh, or for dispensaries. So emergency shelter prototype, you can see the description, that is the public clinic shelters to treat refugees. Project is mobile hospital. The structure is foldable containers. You can fold it. Our designer is Kokil Khan or someone else. Features are about 40 square meter size, and it can afford, or it can accommodate 4 to 8 persons per unit. This is another one, temporary shelters. This is a rapidly deployable system. A rapidly utilized or rapidly you can make this system on site. बहुत आसानी से आप उसको काम में ला सकते हैं साइट पे. And this project is the rapidly deployable shelters, the RDS project. The designer is Azaz. Eureka or
Sir, Eureka.
Eureka.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And Lucky Marwar, do you have this name, Eureka?
No, sir.
You are from Bannu or from Lucky Marwar?
Sir, I'm from Bannu.
Okay, so you people don't have this name, Eureka.
No, sir.
Asadullah, have you heard this name, Eureka?
सर बस अभी सुना.
Okay, ठीक है बेटा. Okay, so structures. Truss style frame, you can see the truss style frame of this system is stronger and more durable than standard scissor style frames and can withstand around 300-pound hanging load. You can hang a load of around 300 pounds at any point on the frame, at this point or at this point or at this point. So it is more stronger. What are the features of this shelter? It can be made ready within 10 minutes. So all these are the shelters which we have discussed today. This is another project, that is the shelter peg. The description of this is a flat peg, easy to transport, easy to assemble, and easy. This shelter of 12 square meter area. The designer is Designobis or something like that. The structure is kit solution with rigid panels. So these are rigid panels. These are not flexible panels. You can see just like the printer. So you can use, or you can deploy this system also as temporary shelter on site. Coming towards Pakistan, the post-disaster housing or case study. Is there anyone architect in the class today? Do we have architect in the class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Muhammad Farooq Quran, you are architect. Minimullah is architect.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So who is this Yasmin Lari? Do you people know her?
Yes, sir. Sir, she is a very famous architect, not only in Pakistan, but also she has recently won a Japanese architecture award. I don't remember the name of it. One of the most low things like
माइक में आवाज आ रही है बेटा, बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा शोर है, आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं है.
नईम स्तासो माइक के प्रॉब्लम दे
हाँ जी हाँ
So who was talking? This Naeemullah was talking or
Sir, I was
Mohammed
talking
Farooq?
Farooq Duran.
Mohammed Farooq. Okay, बेटा तो आप कंटिन्यू
Yes.
करें.
सर मैडम यास्मीन लारी ने कराची में जो खुदा की बस्ती जो गरीबों के लिए उन्होंने हाउसिंग पे बहुत काम किया था. बेम्बूज के स्ट्रक्चर्स और मड से उन्होंने बहुत चीप घर उनके लिए बनाए थे गरीबों के लिए. उसी पे फिर उनको अवार्ड भी मिला था जापान में.
जबरदस्त. So she has done a very good job. She has made bamboo frame shelters. Yasmin Lari is Pakistan's first female architect and one of the most successful providers of disaster relief shelters in the world. She has built more than 36,000 houses for victims of floods and earthquakes in Pakistan since 2010 using bamboo, lime, and mud. Architect Yasmin came up with the bamboo shelter system for sufferers of 2005 earthquake as well. So let's talk about these bamboo shelters have low carbon footprint, they have low carbon emission and is highly cheap to build. Most importantly, materials required to build it such as adobe and mud walls and strong bamboo. Cross bracings is available in the nearby area in the vicinity. You can use these as a local material which are easily available and which are cheaply available. She has built around 2,000 sustainable shelter unit for refugees as well. So here you can see this is Lari Akta Green shelters for earthquake affected areas in Pakistan. So the Lari Akta Green shelter was designed in response to the earthquake in Chatral and Shangla. In these mountainous areas, ordinary tents are inadequate because of the severe weather condition. As I told you, they let in the cold, have a short lifespan, and provide little in the way of security or privacy in these areas. The Lari Akta Green addresses these deficiencies using sustainable materials and a design inspired by local construction techniques. These shelters will protect them from the rain and snow until they are able to get back onto their feet or go back to their own houses or they make their own houses. So here you can see this is the skeleton of this shelter. The Lari Akta Green is designed to have a zero carbon footprint emission. It uses no industrial materials such as steel or concrete. It is an 8-wall structure made of bamboo panels lined with date palm matting. So ये जो चटाई बनाते हैं हम लोग, so you can see over here this they can use it this as a mat inside these shelters. The conical roof, this roof, is inspired by the traditional Chola construction of Pakistan's southern region. So this has been taken from the southern areas of Pakistan, this construction. And Chola construction is that type of construction. It is the low construction made of bamboo and other materials. The bamboo frame is drawn from the cross-braced veggie structure used in the north. Let me ask someone. Saad, are you in the class? Muhammad Saad.
Yes, sir.
ये वेजी स्ट्रक्चर क्या होते हैं? वेजी दीवारी स्ट्रक्चर और वेजी स्ट्रक्चर?
सर ये फ्रेम स्ट्रक्चर होता है सर जो नॉर्मली हिली एरियाज में कंस्ट्रक्ट होते हैं सर. सर वुड और सर वो जो स्टोन जो होता है ना सर उसकी कम्बिनेशन से वो फ्रेम स्ट्रक्चर बनती है सर.
Exactly. They are making these frame from timber or from wood, and then they construct masonry walls inside this frame. So they have taken this idea from this veggie structure. Unlike traditional homes, however, this shelter is built of bamboo, a light and renewable material. You can see another type of shelter that is called log shelters. So, what is meant by log shelters, Naeemullah?
सर लॉग लो ओमिशन कार्बन हो सकता है सर, अदरवाइज तो पता नहीं है।
जी सैयद, maybe सैयद।
Sir, actually, I am not an architect, तो सर
Yeah,
मुझे
you are not architect, you are not also engineer. So these are
yes
engineer
sir.
and architectural terms. So let's
Yes.
ask from other guy who was talking.
Mohammad Farooq sir, Mohammad Farooq Durrani sir, he was
Yeah,
architect.
Muhammad Farooq Durrani, you are in the class.
Yes, sir. Sir, I didn't came up with this word.
So this is just like, have you heard about the Jompli?
Maybe, yes, sir.
Yes, this is just like Jompli Numa structures. You can
बिल्कुल
see
बिल्कुल
people are making in our hujras and our betex. We are making such type of Jompli. But this is covered, and the Jompli is, we are keeping them uncovered. We are trying to keep them open. So log shelters comprising octagonal shape. You can see like it will have like octagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
सर
Prefabricated. जी जी बेटा.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर पख्तो को तो चौपाल दी
Yeah, exactly. Chopal. चढ़ता ना सो यार.
सर से वो मको सर ताज खबर स्टार्ट करनो से सर गले
Okay. So the structure of the shelter is designed to be disaster risk reduction or DRR compliant. The octagonal form is inherently strong, unlike concrete. Bamboo frames are lightweight, long-lasting material, and pose no danger to life. It is environmental friendly and sustainable. The structure, though intended as transitional, can be used as quasi-permanently if needed. So you can use this as a permanent structure as well until and unless you are not providing or you are not helping or the people are not making their houses by themselves. So you can use this shelter as like a semi-permanent structure. People are encouraged to apply insulation using mud or lime on the outer walls and roof. You can provide mud and lime on the top so that to provide insulation to this shelter. The mud exterior both provides ballast to prevent the shelter from overturning and acts as an insulation. So this mud is providing also weight to the structures because if you are not providing this mud or if you are not making this uh, increasing the weight of the structure, what will happen? It can be overturned or it can be uh, pushed by the wind, and due to this pushing of the wind it can be overturned. So with the help of
Excuse me sir.
जी बेटा.
Sir, what is ballast? Provides
Ballast,
ballast.
yeah, ballast, they are saying that it is actually increasing the weight of the structures. That is called weight. Ballast is weight, actually weight. So this mud is providing weight to the structures. If you are making this increasing the weight of the structures, it will not overturn. It will not go like this. If the wind is coming from this direction, if the wind is coming from this direction, if this weight of the structure due to this mud, it will be more enough to resist these winds.
Sir, actually you mean the strength. It provides strength to the structure.
Strength,
Excuse me,
not,
sir.
not the strength. The strength has been already provided by the skeleton of this bamboo.
Structure.
But
Excuse me,
weight,
sir.
वजन इसका वजन ज्यादा हो जाता है तो वजन की वजह से ये हवा को रेजिस्ट करता है, हवा पे इसको ओवरटर्न नहीं कर सकता है, टिल्ट नहीं कर सकता है.
ठीक है सर, ठीक है.
Okay, these shelters are not only earthquake and flood resistant, but the traditional vernacular inspired conical roofs provide safety from rain and keep shelters cool throughout the, how to say this one, Azaz Ali Khan, scorching or scorching?
सर इसका पता नहीं.
Anyone in the class?
Scorching, sir.
Who?
Scorching heat.
Scorching sun or jalane wali garmi. So with the help of these things, you can save the people. from heat or from summer. So this Yasmin Lari, she has done a wonderful job due to its simple construction methods. Even unskilled workers can quickly and easily learn how to fabricate the shelter, while the roof panels are stitched by rural women, providing a source of income. These things this can be made by the women, so that to provide them some income source. The entire structure takes less than an hour to assemble. Each structure has enough room for 5 people sleeping on the floor or 2 charpais with circulations. This can be expanded by clustering structures together and leaving internal openings. You can do all these things with this one. Structure can be used as toilets, kitchens, schools, and a host of other functions as well. Here you can see this is the washroom. This is the interior of Lari Octagon prefabricated shelter. This is the exterior of Lari Octagreen prefabricated shelters. So now if you can see, even the aesthetics of these are good. This is not looking bad.
सर ये जो अक्सर सर ये जो मिट्टी के जो स्ट्रक्चर बनते हैं सर, जिस तरह ये ऑक्टा ग्रीन स्ट्रक्चर वगैरह सर, ये सर इसमें वो मिट्टी में जो एक भूस डालते हैं सर, वो जो गंदम को थ्रेशर के बाद जो निकलता है सर, वो भी होता है ना सर इसमें?
Yeah, that is adobe structure, adobe construction, but in this one, the main skeleton of this structure is the bamboo.
Bamboo, okay sir.
Yeah, and that one maybe you have seen in this Momand area, Bajawadi area, mostly in this this merged area, which has been merged with this KPK now. In that area, people are using that mud, which we have explained, like they are adding this busa and some other material. Even they sometimes they are
Yes.
adding ये जो गाय का गोबर वगैरह होते हैं ये भी डालते हैं उसमें, एंड देन दे आर मिक्सिंग.
ठीक सर.
जी जी, इसमें मुख्तलिफ चीजें वो डालते हैं. ये जो हम डू यू नो नाख्तर और बर्ग, डू यू नो नाख्तर के पत्ते भी डालते हैं. ये जो चीड़ होता है, क्या होता है इसमें, तो क्या बोलते हैं?
यस सर समझ गया सर.
भी डालते हैं सो दैट दे कैन इंक्रीज इट्स इलास्टिसिटी एंड सो दैट इट कैन फिर इसमें क्रैक्स नहीं आते हैं. उस मिट्टी में क्रैक्स नहीं आते अगर आप
ठीक है सर.
उसकी प्लास्टिसिटी और इसकी जो कोहेसिवनेस है और ये बढ़ जाती है. ओके सो
सर ये तंदूर वाले जो होते हैं सर, वो उसमें बाल भी डालते हैं सर.
क्या चीज डालते हैं बेटा?
सर ये बाल, हेयर्स.
या दैट्स व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू दिस चीर जो नाख्तर के पत्ते होते हैं वो लंबे बालों की तरह लंबे लंबे होते हैं. So with the help of this, you can increase its tensile strength.
सर ये तंदूर वाले सर, उनको मैंने देखा है सर खुद, वो उसमें मतलब बाल डालते हैं. ये लोकल अवेलेबल होते हैं.
जी, we have used even these balls or these ears in concrete. One of my MSc students, Fawad, he has done his research on this topic and he has done a very good job. And its strength increases as compared to the normal strength concrete, especially the tensile strength. And with the help of this, it can prevent the spoiling of the plaster if you are using this in the plaster mortar. So after massive flooding in 2010, left 1/5 of Pakistan underwater and affected some 20 million people. Slightly adjusting and editing her previous bamboo shelter plans, we are talking about Yasmin Lari. She created new and safe waterproof houses or homes or shelters. These homes would resist future floods, keeping residents safe and dry. You can see like this one. What she did, she provided safety from the bottom for the flood. These are the stairs on both sides. You can see over here. So if this area, the flood is coming, so the people in the house that will be on safe side. She introduced the concept of low-rise building, which incorporated useful terraces and courtyards where women could carry out various chores or works, grow vegetables, keep chickens, enabled women to watch children playing outside the houses, The project includes 2-story community centers built on bamboo stilts, which allow water to flow underneath. Yeah, this one, which are supported stilt or which are supported on this bamboo, and which are allowing the water to flow through it during floods. The top floor converts into a shelter so that people don't have to move away from their villages. Yeah, this is the top story. The people can live here during the floods. Her buildings are made of lime-hardened mud walls which are as strong as anything and totally water resistant. The roofs are made of bamboo which lasts 25 years, covered with straw matting, a layer of tarpaulin and pozzolana, a waterproofing material. So with the help of this tarpaulin, that is a tarpaul or sheets, and pozzolanic materials are those materials which have no cementitious properties, but when you are mixing this with water and it reacts with sodium hydroxide in the presence of moisture, then it gets cementitious properties. And these are making waterproofing material for these shelters. You can provide this on the top of the shelters. Mud is recyclable and it's everywhere. Yeah, it is very easily available. You can use it from anywhere. Bamboo is very strong and environmentally sustainable, and you can get a new bamboo crop every 2 years. She explains, lime is the only material that requires small amount of fuel to heat it, but twigs, that is the branches of the trees, are enough, and so there is no need to chop mature trees or burn any fossil fuels. So these are the references. When you go back to your study table, check all these references. I hope you will learn something and you will see some new material and some new structure and some new shelters. I hope this will help you. If you have any question, we can discuss. जी बेटा, एजाज,
जी सर.
is there any question?
No sir.
तबिंदा, आपने ये क्या होता है? Okay, any question, beta? Naeemullah, Tayyib, Uzair?
No, sir. Thank
Clear,
you,
sir. Thank you.
Okay, beta. Let me stop the recording and then we can discuss whatever you have.